Hey everyone, just wanted to stop by real quick for this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser. It's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side. I did 20 fucking takes. Go Rams.
Reports out there that Sean McVay, if he wins Super Bowl 56, could walk away at age 36 from coaching. No. Is that happening?
No. I'm so happy for this team right now. I'm so happy to be associated with it. We're going to enjoy tonight.
Yeah, well, you should. By the way, amazing thing.
I'm not going to remember any of it.
That's good. That's the way to go. Go celebrate.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right. What is going on, everyone? How are you? We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show with your host, me, Juan D. Klauser. What's up? It's episode, 104? Yeah. You would think I would be like, oh yeah, I would just know off the top of my head. I'm like, wait, what number is it? I always have to think about what episode number. Like, I wrote it down. I write it down on a piece of paper. I type it into my computer, like all these different files, file names, like video things, audio files, video files, and they all have like the number. So it's like you would think I would be able to be like, oh yeah, it is just episode 104. But anyway, how are you guys? What's going on? So these lights every time. So when the show actually starts, like I can be doing these, I could be like setting up lights, making sure there's no shadows, doing the audio, just kind of looking in the camera. Fine. Then as soon as the show starts going, I'm like, oh, fuck, man, these lights are so goddamn bright. Oh, man. Oh, man. No, but they are really actually pretty close. And there's this weird comfort zone for me where I can have lights on me. Fine. No big deal. I'm so used to it all the time at this point. I've just done it. I've done so many things where I'm either filming and I'm always using lights, or I'm in front of the camera and you have a bunch of lights on you, because literally what you see like a little piece of glass that's like this, and then you see this brightness. It's basically like you're on an operating table but just like standing up. It's a fun time, and so it's but it is a little nerve-wracking. Normally there's, instead of the microphone right here, the microphone's probably like above here somewhere, like right here, just right above, up over here, out of frame. But yeah, so what's going on? Hope you're doing well. What is it? This is February. At the time, it's February 18th, or 2020? Was it 2028? Oh man, I'm actually like filming this at like 11:15 at night. I'm just trying to get this done and over with. I need to get this, I'm like, what's today? This is Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. How my schedule worked out this week, I could easily do this on Saturday. And like, I've already done so much already today that it's like, you know what? Like, you could easily just not have to do this, John. But my mind is like, how it works is like, I'm like, well, it's still on the list. And I'm like, I have, it's not like I'm super tired. Do I really want to do it right now? Do I think I could do it right now? I'm like, I mean, like, I could just fuck off. That's what I really think. I'm like, you know what, John, you could fuck off. And like, for me, fucking off is just, reading a dumb book. Like, I'll read like some of the dumbest articles. So today, this is what I read today. This will tell you. So like, a lot of people read, what's going on, like with like the stuff in Russia. I'm like, that's cool, whatever. They read the Canadian trucker stuff. I'm like, okay. For me, I'm like, wow, shit. Oh, what's going on with this Patrick Mahomes and his fiance and his brother? Because apparently there was a rumor going around today. A rumor that Patrick Mahomes sat down after the loss against the Bengals with his fiance and his brother, his younger brother, and was like, hey, guys, I love you to death, but you guys are fucking my world up right now. And what's happening is that people are making fun of you. The internet absolutely hates you, Brittany. Despises you, little Patrick Mahomes' brother. What is his name? Jackson? I think that's his name, Jackson. And if you want my opinion, because I know you guys are wondering mine, I don't care. Do what you want to fucking do. I mean, I just think it's like, shut the fuck up. I would. If I was, if I was Patrick Mahomes' younger brother, or I was, his significant other, or like my significant other was somebody in the spotlight that was, their whole thing is like they do really good at the sport, I would shut the fuck up. Because there's no need. I didn't do a goddamn thing to get us here. So what I'm going to do is just sit back, let you do your thing, let you focus on your sport, your adventure, your art, your whatever. And I'll just sit back here and, they're like, hey, how do you feel about this? I'm like, I think it's cool. Just to give a thumbs up, smile, and that's it. That's the only thing you'll ever see about me. I'm like, there would be no need. I would shut all my shit down. I'm like, nope, your thing needs to get done. We'll focus on that. We'll get that thing done. I'll do my things. I'm just not going to be all up in the face. I'm not going to do anything that's controversial. I'm not going to make any weird noises. I'm just, the best things you see me, you're going to see me doing things like, charity stuff. You're going to see me, look nice. I'm like, oh, look at these shoes. Oh, look at this. Like, oh man. You're not going to see me do any, like, show my butt, give any inspirational quotes. I don't understand. I don't get where people find these quotes. They'll take a picture of themselves. Fine. I don't care. Do your thing. Fuck. I don't do anything on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, there's a picture of me. Go check out my podcast. Go check out something I'm fucking doing. Whatever. That's literally all I do. So like, but I just don't. I wonder where you guys get these fucking quotes, or you guys quote music. And it's just like, I'm not saying I do anything better, because I don't. But at least, no, nothing. There's a moment there. I really wanted to complain and see like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But no, my thing is pretty much equal. And that's one of the greatest things I've learned lately. Actually, I learned this several years ago. Was that like, the sooner you can just be like, you know what? Sometimes, I'm the dumb one too. I'm just as dumb. I'm equally as dumb. So, yeah, there's no need to make fun of anything on that one, because it's like, yeah, but it's just, I wonder where you guys get these quotes that you guys write sometimes, like the sun is the moon, the stars. Like, it's the only thing that annoys me is the signs. The signs, that stuff. That's the stuff that being an Aquarius or a Capricorn or any of that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that I'm just like, I don't get. I just don't get. And it's so funny. Like, when I make fun of that stuff, like in my memes, people don't like it. People don't like that stuff. I can make fun of a lot of other things, but that's the one thing. People are like, why, John? Why don't you like this? Like, what does this upset you so much? I'm like, it doesn't that upset me. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, light years. Do you guys know what light years is? It's literally how the speed of light. So when we go look next time, it's nighttime. Go outside. Look at those stars. Those stars aren't happening right then and there. It's light years. So like, something has happened light years, thousands of years ago, and now we're just seeing the echoes of that. So astrology is completely bullshit. Or like, what is it? The fucking science shit. Just that alone right there. And people are like, well, it's fun. It's fun to think like that. But it's like, no. Think about what kind of defense your team's going to be in on Sunday. That's what you should be thinking about. Yeah, think about that stuff. Think about stuff that I think about. Talking about that, Rams won the Super Bowl. Holy guacamole. See that picture right there? That's the Rams cheerleaders. That's the 1990s. I don't know, 1996. I want to say 6 or 7 Rams cheerleaders, and it says, to John, Rams cheerleaders. And yeah, go Rams. They won the fucking Super Bowl. It's fucking cool. They used to be in St. Louis, and so Missouri, connections in Missouri, Kansas City Chiefs Rams followed them both. Two different conferences, one NFC, one the AFC. So it just made it was completely fine. In my opinion, it was like, well, you can root for both because like neither of these teams are going to play unless they actually play during the season, which never happened at that time, or they played in the Super Bowl, which never happened because both teams sucked asshole back then. There were some dark times. There were some dark times during the Chiefs. The years when the Chiefs wide receivers didn't score a touchdown. That was one. That was Alex Smith. There was a time when this past one when the Chiefs were up by a couple touchdowns. I think it was 2 touchdowns, and they lost to the Bengals, which wasn't as bad as when the Chiefs were up by was it a 41-point meltdown, and they lost like 41-42 or some shit. It was like a 35-point comeback. Like a 35-point answer. It was fucking insane. That was one of the worst watching that one because it was like, man, they were really beating the shit out of the Colts. Like, this doesn't make any sense and how like they're doing it so quick. But yet, okay, now they're not okay. They're not okay. Another 3 and out. Another 3 and out. Oh, there's a touchdown. Another 3 and out. Another 3 and out. Oh, another touchdown that the Colts did. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh no. And you just saw it. You just saw the points just come. And the points not being scored by the Chiefs. And then you have the years of when, the Rams had Trent Green. Then he tore his ACL. Then Kurt Warner, Bolger came in. Then he got injured. And then that's when Kurt Warner came in. And then won the Super Bowl. Got the starting job. Dick Vermeil was the coach. It was so funny because then Dick Vermeil went to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs like traded for him. And I think it was like a 2nd-round draft pick. I want to say no, it had to be a 1st-round draft pick, and something else happened with that. What was it? The Dick Vermeil trade. I should know this, like because it was between my two teams. The Dick and he actually just got He got voted into the Hall of Fame. Dick Vermeil did. And he also coached at UCLA. And yeah, because he was the last time UCLA won a national championship in football was when Dick Vermeil was the coach. It's fucking insane. the weirdest little like I can just like one thing like to another thing to another thing to another thing because I used to collect football cards all the time. My brother collected baseball cards. Then I was like, oh, that's cool. But I'm like, I always like football better. Like I always like that much. What was so fun for me, what I would do is I would collect all these football cards and I would take the best players from like the offensive side and the defensive side. And then I would do like, okay, if I would do a run play, who would I have? What would be the formation? Would I do a trips? Would I do a jets, I formation? Like, those kind of things. And then I would just like do simulations of an offensive like play versus like a defensive play versus like an interception. It was silly things. That was another weird thing that I used to do all the time. But from doing that all the time, then I would sub player like coach like quarterbacks. So I would have like an Ellis Gerback card, but then I'd also have like a Dan Marino card. And then you see the stats, you look on the back of it, and you just learn random fucking things because those little cards. And then you learn a player, like then you would get like a card from some random player, and then you see him play, and like, oh hell, like I have his card. Like you're like, oh my god. And so then you just start following them, and you start following their stats. Weirdest thing. So like I remember having a Randy Moss card. My Randy Moss, and like of course, like Randy Moss ended becoming he's one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. But like when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, Randy Moss. I have a Randy Moss card. I'm like, what's this? I'm like, oh, that's cool. Whatever. Like I had a Andre Rison card when he played for the Colts, because I believe the Colts were the ones who drafted him, and then he got traded to the Chiefs. So when he got traded to the Chiefs, I was like, holy shit, oh my god, and I know about this guy, and like he was a really good wide receiver, was dating Left Eye Lopez, and she burned his house down or something like that. Craziness. But he was insane. My mom didn't really ever like him that much. She said he was too flashy and he didn't like focus on football, which is true. But when he did focus, he was really fucking good. He was really good for us. Because he was it the what was it? I believe he was on the 97 AFC team that made to the championship. No, the AFC championship and then lost by a field goal. That was Andy Schottenheimer was still the coach, which I still don't understand why we ever fired him. That was insane. And we went through after him. It was just you knew it because even my dad said it's like if we fire him, it's gonna be a while before you see the Chiefs like be able to build up and be able to be a good team again. It's like, yep, you're right, and it kind of happened. And like he went through, we had a bunch of random shoot because we had Dick Vermeil. He was the last good one, and they went like 14-0. There was a season we went 14-0 because we had that crazy offensive line. We had Priest Holmes, Trent Green, which was he ended up getting let go, or we traded for him because the Chiefs traded from the Rams to get him because he tore his ACL, and that's the reason why Bolger even got on. Was because Trent Green tore his ACL when he was at the Rams, because the Rams were technically the ones who drafted him. So that whole thing, I'm pretty sure the ones that drafted him. That's that's football. That's between just two teams. And you know what the craziest thing about football? This is the thing that will blow your mind. So you know what football is? Like El Americano football. Two teams line up, they hit each other, and basically you either pass it or you throw the ball. And if someone catches the ball, then you tackle them. Or if someone runs with the ball, you tackle them. So that's literally the game. That's it. That's the game. So tackling, like tackles didn't become an actual stat in the NFL until 1987. No, 86. That's insane. It's insane. Like how is there no one like football's been around for 102 years. The NFL's been around 102 years. How is there not a time when someone was like, shouldn't we just be like we pay attention to people who catch the ball stats, all this other like field goals, people's field goals, rushing records, rushing yards, but we don't pay attention to sacks or like tackles. It doesn't make any sense. It made literally no sense. One of the biggest what the fucks ever. No idea. Anyway, so we talked about football there for quite some time. What else do I have on I had a huge long list of stuff. It was like that long. Because that really explains how much stuff you've ever had. Okay. Oh, I don't know why I was thinking about this. So I went on a date with this girl once. A really beautiful woman. Beautiful girl. She was a engineer, and she would work on like cameras, like engineering like cameras to be able to take like super high definition pictures of like a hair follicle and those kind of things, like those 3D pictures. Like she worked on equipment to make like cameras like that, like the chips and stuff. That was what she did. So she was freaking intelligent. She learned pretty quick why she stopped. Why she stopped talking to me pretty quick. She's like, he's a dummy. He's a doofus. And anyway, so on our first date, she was wearing a tank top, like a string tank top, and then she had a shirt over it, but it had like holes in it, and so you could see, it was like white on white. And she was a beautiful, beautiful black girl. Had dreads, and wore these funky glasses. It was cool. Had a pretty smile, and she adjusted herself like right at the beginning of our date, and we were sitting at a table, eating, and she wasn't wearing a bra, and then the shirt went down, and then literally her nipple was showing the entire date on our first date, and it was just there, and looking at me, and I'll look at it, I'll look at her, it would look at it, it would look at me, I'll look at it, look at her. It was just there. It was just it was like a third party. And it was a great time. We sat there for like 2 hours. We had dinner, had a show. It was a good time. It was a hilarious day. I don't know why, but I was just driving. One of the weird things, it just snowed. And you know when it snows and you have to drive, you're just thinking like, why am I doing this? Like, money's not worth dying. Like, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. This is incredibly stupid. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I wonder what that girl's doing. I wonder what that girl who had her nipple showing on our date is doing with her life. I wonder if she's like figured out any chips. Maybe she's like should switch over from like chips on a computer to like chips on the computer of like the cars for Ford and stuff. Maybe that's what she'd be doing. And then I'm just like sitting there driving, just thinking that the dumbest thing that was. But yeah, it was just she adjusted and it just came down and the nipple was just showing. And you think she would feel it, didn't feel it, nothing. Just had conversation. No, like I said, look at her, look at the nipple will look at me, looked at her, looked at the nipple will look at me. And that's what it was. That's what we did. It was a good time. One of my light bulbs right over here burnt out. I'm down a light bulb. So, but yeah, that was interesting. What else? You know, what'd been interesting? If I would have like looked at this list, like just a little glance over before, I would be able to like have quicker things, but I didn't. What is it? Oh, so one of the weirdest things, like horses. This is one of the weirdest things. So horses, like a horse is a horse. Then like a burro, a donkey, all those other things are just things from a horse. They're just horses breeded differently to like make things. But what's so interesting is that we bred these creatures, some like a donkey's like a sterile animal. Like it can't, or is it a donkey or is it a mule? Maybe a mule. But one of these are like they're just stale. They're sterile, so they can't produce anything because humans made them, and so this isn't like natural. And it's hilarious if there actually is a God. And I love to think like things like this is that I would get to heaven. I'd get to heaven. And, we all like, cause at that point, then everything's infinite. We all have like a time and like time goes like that. Like, God could spend it like, 1 trillion years with all of us. And it would just be a blink of eye, like what they always say, like these weirdest fucking people make these weird analogies. Like, like apples will taste like green Skittles and you'll do it one blink will be like 1,000,000 years. And you're like, that's such a fucking weird thing to describe what heaven's going to be like. Just be like, yeah, heaven's going to be cool. And there's like, maybe it's going to be just like now, but not any of the shitty things like a job and have to drive in the fucking snow. Maybe things like that. It's just going to be like that. You can just float to your job. And then instead of getting paid with money, you get paid with like rainbow farts. I don't fucking know. But like, I like to think that I'd get up there and I'd eventually get my turn with God. And he would be in some weird form because apparently he can't just stand there by us, because if he does, then we'll fucking die, but we're in heaven. But anyway, I never understood that one either. How like God is so holy. And this is one of the most, if there is a God, this is one of the rudest things I'm about to say, but God forbid that God knows what I'm about to say before I say it. If there is one. Is that like, dude, if I'm in your image, why am I burning in now? Why am I burning now? It's like, God is so holy that, just the image of, if you see him, then you'll just like blow up. It's like, what the, like, it's like, Jesus, like, my God, he's the creator. He's not a, he's not like, I got no analogy to tell you the truth. I was going to say like, he's no like putting a Mentos in a Coke bottle. Like in a Coke can. I don't, John, this is what happens sometimes. But I'd like to think I go up there, I get my time with God. We're walking. I like to think we're walking down like a street like you'd see in London. And it's one of those things like there'll be a voiceover and it's like we're talking and like, like I'm moving my hands and God's like, I don't know. Like he's like, and then he stops and he looks at me. And I'm like, I continue walking. Like I'm like looking down. I have to stop and I look back. I'm like, what? Like, and he's like, really? You think that? And he's like, and he does like some weird fucking gesture of like, you think it's like this and you do it like that. And you just like, I'm like, well, yeah, that's how it is. And like, and I'll do like some like jerk motion of like a cock in my mouth. And he's like, what the he's like, what are you doing? Like, why are we spending time like this? And I'm like, hold on, we'll get to the point here. We'll get to the point. And then it cuts to us like more of like a mid shot. We're standing there and God is like, okay, so what was the thing that you wanted to talk to me about, that you had like this big thing? And I'm like, okay, I don't understand, God, how you made like horses and you were able to like make a donkey or a mule, one of the fucking two, sterile, and they can't reproduce, but you couldn't do that with like people. Like you were able to understand like this donkey's too stupid to like not be able to reproduce. It's just smarter that these things can't just reproduce on their own. It's just better off for the whole world. But yet you couldn't do it for humans. Like you couldn't do it for like a group, like a, sometimes, humans, it gets to a certain point where like, they just kind of happen. Like there's certain groups of people that just happen. Like, you made it for everything else. People, we can get gout, we can get cancer, we can lose our hair, but we can't do that. It's just, that's what I think about. Like, and God's like, John, why are you doing this? I'm like, dude, you're God. I'm John. Like you don't sit here and patronize me. He's like, what? Like patronize you? I'm like, don't, you created that sound and that word and the meaning of it. It's like, he's like, well, yeah, I did. And he's like, oh my God, then you knew what I was going to say. Don't sit here and act like you're shocked by the question I just asked. Like, he's like, so you had all these questions in the world. You could ask anything. You're going to talk about donkeys and mules? I'm like, yeah, let's talk about donkeys and mules. Hell, we can talk about like why you created like Taco Bell, but I don't like, or like, like a party barn. Like, why did we need a pottery barn? Like, why did that have to be a thing? Why? It's like, and another thing, like, why do I turn into like, why do I blow up whenever I look at you, but I don't now? It's like, well, because I turned it off. It's like a little switch light, and he like shows me, he like pulls out a phone. It's like an app. It's just like you switch it back and forth. It's like, see, I could. If I did, then I didn't. It's just one of those things. This is what I would have. And he was like, are we done with this? I'm like, I mean, I guess. I'm like, I don't know. You want to stay here? You want to go get a beer? Like, we can go get a beer. And he's like, what kind of beer are you going to get? I'm like, well, I normally drink like Milwaukee's Best, but I'm sure you're God and you probably know a way better beer. He's like, no, Milwaukee's Best is actually the best beer that I created. That's exactly the beer I wanted. I don't understand why anyone else drinks anything else. I'm like, that's what I say, buddy. Like, I say the same fucking thing. Like, what's wrong with Milwaukee's Best? It's not like no beer tastes good. He's like, I know. I intentionally did that on purpose so you just drink the cheap shit. And I'm like, exactly, God. See? And then we give each other a high five. And then like when we high five, we just have a beer in our hands because I'm with God and God is a magician as well. Again, another weird thing that we do to describe this outer being thing. Weird. It's like, yeah, like Jesus, or like when like you hear stories of Jesus, like Jesus turned water into wine. It's like that's fucking insane. How would like you have to admit there had to been someone at the party be like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like and they go to another party and they're like, dude, don't fuck with Jesus. And that's probably why the Coen brothers have that line, don't fuck with Jesus. Well, anyway, I have like 35 seconds left on this podcast, so I'm going to get off. I'm going to import all this onto my laptop, onto a computer and edit it. So I'll see you guys on a next episode. Yeah. Anyway, we're just horsing around, right? And that's the title right there. All right, I'll see you guys on the next episode. All right, bye.